Today we're celebrating World Youth Skills Day in a slightly different way given the event of COVID-19. The challenge is that the pandemic and resulting lockdown and restrictions have led to the global closure of many technical and vocational training institutions. But that's not threatening the continuity of skills development for us here at home. Many of our youth are still advancing their skill sets, and government remains focused on providing more hope. Hi, I'm Theodore Henry. Welcome to today's Jamaica Magazine. As we celebrate and share in this day, we'll give you some reasons to join in. Let's get to it.
What if they knew that you abused her family?
Mr. Jones.
And your colleagues, how will they look at an abuser? When the law comes knocking, you'll have nowhere to run.
Mr. Brown, you're under arrest. Please get up, hands behind your head and interlock your fingers.
Turn your back on abusers. Report gender-based violence to the police. There's no excuse for abuse. Call the Bureau of Gender Affairs at 876-754-8577.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, July 15. Daycare centres and summer camps across the island are to be open between July 21 and 31. Minister of Local Government and Community Development, Desmond McKenzie, made the disclosure during Tuesday's sitting of Parliament. He revealed that in order for daycare centres to be reopened, they must be fully compliant with new COVID-19 protocols. They should also comply with staffing provisions, which involve a ratio of 1 adult to 5 children for those between the ages of 0 to 12 months, 1 adult to 8 children who are 13 to 35 months, and 1 adult to 12 children 3 to 5 years old. All daycare centers should have the necessary temperature check machines, and child-friendly signage are to be placed across the facility. Minister McKenzie says only non-residential or day summer camps will be allowed to operate between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m.
We want to make the point that parents and guardians are not compelled by this order. So we are opening the sector, but if the parent or the guardian feel that they are not ready to send their child out, they are not compelled to do so.
In the meantime, as part of conditional reopening efforts, the state will allow small outdoor events to be held for a 10-day provisional period starting July 21. These events must be held at approved venues and should not have more than 280 persons, 30 of whom will be production personnel, including performers and staff. Minister Desmond McKenzie says the approved events include concerts, parties, round robins, launches, religious celebrations, and festivals.
There must be signs such as tape on the floors or other markings to ensure that the people attending observe the necessary protocols. The bar area is only to be used for purchasing of drinks. No gathering is allowed.
These events must end at 10 p.m., an hour before the 11 p.m. nightly curfew. Minister McKenzie says the Noise Abatement Act will be enforced where necessary, and the parking of vehicles to obstruct traffic will not be tolerated at these events. Facilities to be used will be subject to inspection by the local authorities, the Ministries of Local Government, Health, Culture and Tourism, as well as the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And starting July 21, sports bars are to be opened, but must obtain the requisite approval license and certification of safety before they can resume operations.
It is clear, Mr. Speaker, based on the assessment that was done, that many of these establishments before COVID were operating outside of observing the requirements for licensing and the full response to the safety concerns. So as a part of the order, Mr. Speaker, these locations will not be allowed to operate unless they are in compliance.
Amusement parks and water attractions, as well as gaming arcades targeted to children and young adults, will also be opened. The sites will be opened from July 21 to 31 between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., provided that they follow the necessary COVID-19 related protocols. Effective today, tourists and locals can enjoy attractions on the south coast of the island. This as the Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett announced the reopening of Phase 2A of the tourism sector, which runs between Milk River in Clarendon and Negril in Westmoreland. Minister Bartlett says a health and safety protocol has been developed for the area, which includes compliance measures from stakeholders and visitors.
In an effort to drive continued safe reopening of the tourism sector, plans were developed for the launch of Phase 2A, the South Coast Resilient Corridor. This expansion will enable more visitors to experience the tourism product while enabling tourism businesses and workers to restart operations in a safe environment.
Minister Bartlett made the statement during Tuesday's sitting of the House of Representatives. A date for the reopening of Phase 2B, which would run from Milk River in Clarendon to Portland in the east, is expected to be released soon. Cabinet has approved the disbursement of $308 million to stave off drought across the island. In Parliament Tuesday, Minister without portfolio with responsibility for water, Darrell Vaz, said the National Water Commission would receive $100 million for the trucking of water island-wide. The Ministry of Local Government and Community Development will be allocated $75 million to provide additional water shops and for the trucking of water. The Rural Water Supply Limited will receive $70 million for the provision of 130 wayside tanks and the construction of 39 loading bays in the 14 parishes. And members of Parliament will each receive $1 million to provide black tanks and trucking of water.
This would be the second allocation in less than 3 months, directly to members of Parliament. So this would make it $2 million in relation to the MPs having a say in relation to responding to constituents in relation to areas that are being left out for some reason, either by the municipal council or the NWC, depending on where it goes.
For the first time, residents of Hamilton Mountain and adjoining communities in St. Mary now have access to potable water. The $25 million pumping station was built by the National Water Commission. Prime Minister Andrew Holness officially launched the system Friday during a tour of Western St. Mary.
Your government is working. And we are not only working for some, we are working for all of Jamaica.
Here.
Water is an important piece of infrastructure for us. Whether it is your pumping station, the water main, the dams and reservoirs, very important.
During his tour, Mr. Holness visited a new community center at Labyrinth, viewed a water harvesting system at Jeffreytown Primary, looked at housing plans for Galena, pledged to improve the sewage systems at 3 Hills, and donated to the Spring Valley Citizens Association. And finally, a soup kitchen for the homeless is to be established in downtown Kingston within a few weeks. The soup kitchen is to provide a hot meal twice per day for vulnerable members in the population. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says the soup kitchen is a permanent strategy to replace the current street people feeding program in the corporate area.
The feeding program that we have put in, if we were to continue that program, we couldn't sustain the program because of the cost.
Since March, the local government ministry has provided more than 35,000 meals across the country for the homeless to alleviate the negative effects of the novel coronavirus on the vulnerable. Mr. McKenzie says the corporate area alone has more than 2,000 street people, with 60% of that number living in downtown Kingston. He was speaking at the recent handover of an indigent house in Portland. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Government is well on its way to molding a first-class justice system armed with the tools of consistency and commitment. Here's what the Ministry of Justice has planned for our nation this legislative year.
Mr. Speaker, our appetite for delivering a first-class justice system has been whetted by the achievements of the past fiscal year.
Technology aiding justice, improved courts, greater attention to alternative dispute resolution, enhanced legal services, effective bills, and justice for all. The sentence continues. But if you were paying attention last fiscal year, then you would have undoubtedly realized the unflinching track record created by the Ministry of Justice.
Despite national and global challenges, we remain resolute that our justice service delivery in Jamaica must be the yardstick by which others are measured.
There would have also been the realization that you can trust in the ministry's plans for this fiscal year as it journeys towards a first-class justice system. As the ministry works to improve the length and complexity of that yardstick, the look will be measured against first-class justice infrastructures as courts across the island are upgraded.
A first-class justice system demands first-class facilities, and they are being provided.
Manchester will see the restoration of the parish court building, which was damaged by fire last year. It will be used as an interim family court, while a new family court is being developed. In Trelawney, the ministry will complete the expansion of the family court. And for St. Anne, the ministry will be working on delivering a family court comprising of 8,800 square feet. This family court will incorporate child-friendly waiting areas, a separate holding area for children in state custody, comfortable waiting rooms, and state-of-the-art information technology systems, including a customer service software. The St. James and Clarendon parish courts will also be undergoing extensive renovations and refurbishing works. In Kingston, the ministry will continue to refurbish the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions at Public Building West. Work is ongoing to the sum of $626.4 million to facilitate demolition work, spatial reconfiguration, extensive masonry and tiling, and the upgrading of sanitary facilities. Justice centers are also a high priority for the ministry, as it seeks to create greater access to this critical service. And with that, Clarendon, St. Andrew, and Hanover will each receive 3 new justice centers. They will offer child diversion and restorative justice services. In Manchester and St. Anne, the ministry will be moving forward to develop regional judicial complexes, as land has already been acquired in those parishes.
Members, we're indeed journeying towards a first-class justice system, parish by parish. We're providing the technology, Mr. Speaker, to assist in the administration of the courts.
This year, the ministry will commission into service 2 Toyota Coaster buses, which have been configured with audio-visual equipment to allow for testimonies from vulnerable witnesses and to extend the electronic payment system at different courts. And having installed an electric judicial case management system, JCMS, the ministry is now moving to use this platform in select parish courts this fiscal year. The system will manage jury selection, case flow and docketing, case scheduling, digital recording to expedite production of transcripts, and integration with audio recording.
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, this increase in the use of technology in judicial matters sets us well on our way to become one of the best justice systems in the world. The country can expect to see further advances in this regard in the coming years.
As the ministry works to institute laws for the interest of our nation, this financial year we'll see significant efforts being made to pass and amend several bills.
The Justice Ministry, Mr. Speaker, recognizes that upholding the rule of law and protecting human rights are linchpins of a democratic state. And through our agencies and divisions, we will continue to respond to the needs of vulnerable groups, regardless of whether those we serve are out and about, as previously obtained, or in the words of a recent popular local song, inside quarantine. Mr. Speaker, based on last year's result, I am convinced that the strategies we have been employing in the area of dispute resolution, alternative dispute resolution, have been yielding results for the people of Jamaica. Child diversion, the Victim Services Division, and restorative justice are all programs which treat with not just the symptoms, but also the root causes of antisocial behavior.
And despite the COVID-19 pandemic, this financial year, the Restorative Justice Program will facilitate about 2,000 case conferences and train over 1,000 parish court judges, clerks of court, police officers, probation officers, school administrators, and other community leaders in restorative justice processes. There will also be an increase in the number of children who benefit from child diversion, and the ministry will develop a child diversion monitoring and evaluation system. Under the Alternative Dispute Resolution Program, despite COVID-19, the ministry will be establishing 20 e-counseling stations to provide counseling and emotional support services to clients. This year will also see more deserving Jamaicans being able to take advantage of the expungement provisions in the law. This as the Justice Ministry is currently reviewing the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Act to present broader discretion to the board in considering applications for expungement.
I will be coming to Parliament with a bill to allow the expungement committee in cases where all the inquiries have been done, and to show that the man having served his prison sentence, he has lived a decent, civilized, crime-free life for 15, 20 years, whatever the case. We can expunge his record so that he can turn over a new chapter in his life.
This year, the Ministry of Justice's action plan is to take you as Jamaicans on a journey to a first-class justice system.
I urge all justice stakeholders to join with me and the dedicated staff of the Justice Ministry as we seize the opportunities and resources available for our journey towards a first-class justice system that will be safe, cohesive, and just for Jamaica, land we love.
Here are some of our very own young people who have harnessed their skills into passion and a sweet money-making venture. From the bees turning honey into money, we now bring you Youth in Agriculture.
Me and my sister got started when we were very young. I think I was 6 or something around that age. And my mom had 4 hives. And that is the beginning of success.
The name of our family business is Maccabee Enterprise. Here at Maccabee Enterprise, we are all beekeepers, down to my 9-year-old sister, Camila.
Working with the bees is nice. It's less challenging than back in the days. Don't want to sound too old. It is fun now. I am more confident. Yeah. It is calming, soothing. Takes you out of this world, bring in another. So it's fun. It's actually fun. My role here on the farm is using an extractor to extract honey. There are many ways. I will be explaining 2 ways. First is the professional method where you use an extractor. So you have a capping knife, a knife with like a serrated edge, and you would uncap, which is a thin sheet of wax on top of the comb with the honey inside. So it's like a seal. So you use a knife and uncap that. Then you put it in the extractor and spin it, and it would flash out on the side of the extractor and drain to the bottom, and then leak it out into a bucket. The other way is, well, when you don't have an extractor, is that you would use a capping fork, or you could use a regular fork, and you would hold the frame like this, long way, and you'd use the fork and gently scrape the frame. So you're taking off the comb, you're removing the comb from the frame in a sense, but you'd have on the frame there is a sheet of wax that we would put on as beekeepers foundation, so it would guide the bees, to build more small cells that would get more workers in the hive.
From the bees, we get 5 main products, right? We have pollen, propolis, beeswax, honey, and royal jelly. So based on those 5 things, we actually think about what we can do with those 5 things. So in beekeeping, we actually have honey flow periods and we have dirt season. Those are the 2 main periods. In between, we have like a pre-flow and pre-dirt, basically. But okay, so in our honey season, that's the time when they're on production. They're bringing in their honey, their pollen, everything up on top. But for like in St. Thomas, there's like a 6-month period where there's dirt. There's no honey, no much honey that we can reap. There's just enough for them to feed themselves and their babies and be able to stay alive. In the dirt period, when there's not enough honey for us to harvest and be able to sell, we do things like remove our old combs and boil it out, and we get wax. With the wax, we do like the body butters, we do candles, lip conditioner. So that's the wax. With the pollen, we actually collect the pollen, and the pollen is a very good multivitamins. So we actually collect the pollen and dry it and package it for sale. For the royal jelly, we don't do a lot of work with the royal jelly. As we go along, we are actually developing products. So for the royal jelly right now, we put it in our honey wine. And then again, the honey wine is made from honey. My involvement in making the byproducts are production. I do most of the labels. I have help, so I can't take all the credit, but most of the labels are from me. I do social media marketing, so most of the WhatsApp texts, Instagram, they might mostly be from me. My younger siblings' involvement in the business is some help with the production, so there is some small things like shredding the wax that they can do. They help with the bees as well, because we're homeschool and we kind of tag along with our parents right through and through. So with the bees and with production. And my younger sister, she's very artistic, so when I'm actually doing the labels, sometimes she would draw this beautiful picture and I would actually use that as part of the label. I have 4 personal hives for myself. I have 3 long struts, which is the regular kind of box that you would see that holds 10 frame, and they would stack on one on top of the other. And I have 1 top bar, which is a 30 frame box, which goes a long way, and it only has a top bar. It doesn't have the top bar with the square. It doesn't have a frame, it's just the top bar. My advice to other youth interested in beekeeping is you have to be persistent, and you have to be confident, and you have to be committed to beekeeping. Beekeeping can be very wide. You don't have to just stuck with the bees, the sting, the honey. There is so much more that you can do. You can do candles. There is actually a shortage of beeswax candles. And beeswax candles are very easy. You mold, you wick, your color if you need, and you're done. Lip conditioner is another easy one. And if you go online, just take some of your time out of your texting and just research some products that you can actually do from the products that you get from the bees. The 5 products I mentioned. There's so much more.
No matter where we go in this world, once we identify ourselves as Jamaicans, everybody get crazy. They all want to hear us chat some patois like Miss Lou. Hey, so let's wave the black, the green, and the gold. Jamaica, one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go. Hey, one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go. Nothing to me like me yard. People are flying for the niceness on the riverside, tropical bliss. I love how the kids them a play. I wish we could all be like children one day, dancing and splashing and holding hands. No matter your color nor where you're from, you're welcome to vacate on my island. Cause out come anyway, I want to let me sing now. Whoa, let me see you light it up. Whoa, we are diamonds in the rough. Whoa, voices so loud can't be denied. Across the world, our light still shines together. We are one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go. Hey, one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go. Alright, come to Jamaica, the land of beauty, where life on the beach feels like a movie. Take a trip, touchdown if you're feeling groovy. We party every day, cause we love the park. We will rise above the hardest of the times. Hey, even though sometimes the hills are hard to climb, let your light shine. Whoa, let me see you light it up. Whoa, we are diamonds in the rough. Whoa, voices so loud can't be denied. Across the world, our lights still shine. Together we are one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go. Hey, one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go. Nothing to me like me yard. People are flying for the niceness on the riverside, tropical bliss. I love how the kids them a play. I wish we could all be like kids for one day. Put the women from cassava, me a kid with me a man banana. And when you hear me say watch ya, just know say you learn one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go. Hey, one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go. Hey, one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go. Hey, one people, oh, one country, oh, hey, spreading love everywhere we go.
We end things here for today's show, but tomorrow promises a fresh package. Get access to past episodes on our YouTube channel. You can also keep up with the JIS by visiting our website and following us on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages. From all of us here, make sure that you're still keeping safe and have a great day. I'm Theodore Henry. See you soon.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.